The message is brutal. Fate here is not a path you choose. It's a closed loop you never opted into.
Loops are even brandished as weapons, remember?
That's right.
Laurie, trapped in the closet, bends a wire coat hanger into a crude circle and stabs Michael in the eye.
Every day twisted to interrupt the system, not to destroy it, but to break the cycle long enough to survive.
This is the Marxists at the Movies podcast.
Marxists at the movies, bright and raw, breaking through the reels to rewrite the law. Workers of the world in every frame, changing the credits, rewriting the name.
Welcome to Marxists at the Movies, where capitalism is a cycle and horror movies are its enforcer and occasional critic. I'm Edward Michael Francis.
And I'm also Edward Michael Francis. See? 2 hosts, 1 brain, and it still took us 47 tries to carve the jack-o'-lantern right.
Right. This week's episode is titled Halloween from 1978. Discovering the Scream Queen Within.
Queen. I see what we did there.
And yes, we wrote the full article because we are Edward Michael Francis, and yes, we go pretty hard for Shatner later on. Stay tuned and you'll understand why.
The full piece is up on Patreon if you want to read it, and we've even got a website at cinemarchmedia.com. We'll do the full plug later, so don't you come at us with your pitchforks.
We also want to say, right at the top, we proudly use generative AI in our production.
Proudly.
We see AI not as a replacement, but as a tool to democratize storytelling and keep this schedule alive when the Dark Lord below knows capitalism would rather silence us.
Speaking of democratic institutions, Myron Rosander Francis is here too.
Myron.
Our orange and white tabby comrade, plotting from the shadows of the windowsill, tail twitching like a piano in 5/4 time.
So, sit tight, sharpen your precariously large knife, and remember, the neighborhood you grew up in looks like that on purpose.
Cue the sting.
Word about spoilers, folks.
Listen up.
Every movie podcast does the polite little warning, but here, we like to have some fun with it.
Right, and since this is Halloween, who's that behind you? Why, it's the perfect villain, Spoiler Myers, the guy creeping around with a blade made out of plot points.
Exactly. The serial killer of fun and whimsy, the one who makes people think that knowing the ending ruins the whole experience, when in reality, that idea was cooked up in a Hollywood marketing office.
So here's the clear version. We are talking full plot, all of Halloween, every mask, and every stab.
If that makes anyone nervous, consider this the exit ramp. Because around here, spoilers are not the enemy, they're just proof that we actually care.
Preach.
And caring is not a crime.
All right, spoiler warning delivered, kitchen accoutrements sheathed. Now let's talk horror. Because pure horror has never been our go-to genre. It always worked better mixed with science fiction or period settings.
Right. We love movies like Alien or even The Others.
Exactly. If it's horror wrapped in another genre, that was always far more digestible fare for us.
Which makes sense. Horror straight up is like raw chili peppers. Too much burn.
That's an image.
Indeed. But add a little salt, and suddenly, the pain has flavor.
That hits especially hard for those of us who came out of cults or who carry other trauma. Real life already had more than enough dread.
And since this is October, we figured it was the perfect time to try a little exposure therapy for our PTSD-riddled psyches. But let's be clear, this is the only traditional holiday fare you are getting from us.
Every other piece we cover this month is going to be some kind of late-stage capitalist horror, because that is the monster we really love to drag out of the shadows.
But here's the twist.
Okay, M. Night.
Please don't invoke Shyamalan. Are you trying to ruin this good thing?
Okay.
So here's the twist. Lean into those shadows, and suddenly catharsis shows up. Sometimes joy, sometimes even power.
And for us, the entry point was not a brand new gore fest, but a familiar doorway. John Carpenter's Halloween.
We first caught it in fragments on Fox 32's Chicago midnight movie rotation.
Of course.
The mask, the score, the creeping dread etched into memory.
Now we are watching it with fresh eyes, not just as nostalgia, but with curiosity.
Indeed.
To see what has been hiding in the dark all along.
So let's talk about how Halloween actually begins.
Okay.
Because the opening sequence is already doing half the psychological work before the plot even starts.
Yeah, and the first image is deceptively simple. Just a jack-o'-lantern sitting there as the credits roll.
But Carpenter messes with us by zooming in so slowly we barely notice until the pumpkin fills the frame.
And it's off-center, too, which makes the brain itch, like something is wrong even though nothing has happened yet.
Minimal, low budget, and totally unnerving.
Then the score kicks in. That 5/4 piano riff.
Oh, yes.
Pure dread. A ticking time bomb that mirrors Michael Myers' steady pace.
We know Carpenter wrote it himself, but knowing does not soften the blow. It still lands like Satan's own countdown clock.
And by the 2-minute mark, the atmosphere is already thick.
Then, the real flex. A 3-minute long take.
Wow.
Unbroken, no cuts.
It's like Goodfellas forgot to take its Ativan. We see through the killer's eyes, spying through a window, slipping in the back door, grabbing a knife, creeping upstairs.
Correct. Like every good horror craftsman before him, Carpenter pulls the audience into the story, full stop.
Hitchcock, Michael Powell, even Dario Argento were masters of this technique, using first-person POV to make their watchers feel fully implicated in the action.
And then the stabbing. Still in a single shot, no release.
Until the camera finally breaks in the front yard and the killer is revealed.
A child. Michael Myers in a clown suit, holding a bloody knife.
Girl, that reveal pulled an audible gasp out of us, because how could it not?
And Carpenter closes it with that eerie crane shot, almost a god's eye view, watching innocence drain away with perfect stillness.
It's both a reckoning and a reveal.
So let's get into the actual story, because on the surface, Halloween is as simple as it gets.
Right. In 1963, a 6-year-old named Michael Myers puts on a mask and murders his sister. 15 years later, he escapes a psychiatric facility and comes back to his sleepy hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, for some unfinished business.
That's the whole loop. No backstory, no motive, just pure dread, walking around in coveralls.
And that simplicity is the point. The repetition, the cycle, the sense that the pattern will always return no matter how much people pretend it can be stopped.
Moreover, it was not just artistic choice either.
Oh?
It was born in mid-flight, literally. Producer Irwin Yablans said the idea came to him on a plane ride back from the Milan Film Festival.
Right, and that's classic Yablans. This was a guy who lived for high-concept elevator pitches. He wasn't cranking out prestige cinema.
Nope.
He was sniffing out whatever premise might stick to the wall. Haunted frat houses, killer mannequins, film nerds gone homicidal.
Exactly. His whole career was built on turning napkin scribbles into low-budget gambles. And Halloween just happened to be the one that hit the jackpot.
Yeah, first called The Babysitter Murderers, until Carpenter and Deborah Hill reshaped it into the seasonal myth we now know.
And the simplicity was also financial necessity.
Do tell.
The whole movie was made on a budget of $300,000.
$300K? That's it?
Indeed. They made this entire movie with what now passes as the craft services budget of an average Marvel film.
They had 20 days to shoot, mostly in a sleepy Los Angeles suburb pretending to be Illinois. And the autumn leaves were fake, gathered up and reused between shots.
Sure.
How's that for Hollywood magic?
Carpenter did almost everything. Directed, co-wrote the script with Hill, and composed the score.
And the actors worked for practically nothing. Jamie Lee Curtis made $8,000 for her debut.
That's it?
And Donald Pleasance only took the part because his daughter liked Assault on Precinct 13.
But that low-budget grit gave the film its rawness, its immediacy, and the tension that no studio polish could have replicated.
Instead of elaborate gore, they leaned on suspense, silence, and shadow, building fear out of space and stillness.
Like Hitchcock did with Psycho, Carpenter made the whole greater than the sum of its parts.
And the funny thing is, Halloween was not even meant to launch a franchise.
Oh, yeah?
It was supposed to be a one-off about evil arriving like the seasons, inevitable and unkillable.
But it hit such a raw nerve that it became the blueprint, not just for slashers, but for how horror could talk about systems, power, gender, violence, without ever spelling it out.
In other words, the boogeyman did not come out of a haunted mansion. The boogeyman crawled out of a bargain basement budget and changed horror forever.
Let's talk about the motif of loops in Halloween, because this film runs in circles both literally and thematically.
Exactly. From the opening shot, that 3-minute unbroken take prowling around the Myers house before landing back on the lawn.
Yeah.
The camera itself is orbiting.
It's not just a technical flex by Carpenter and cinematographer Dean Cundy.
Oh, no.
It's an omen that the cycle will keep repeating.
And the next loop is time itself.
Right.
15 years later, Michael escapes Smith's Grove and heads straight back to Haddonfield. Again, on Halloween night.
And right at the end of that loop, we meet Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, positioned as the next node in Michael's closed circuit.
Even the town reinforces the pattern, filmed in wide symmetrical blocks where every corner mirrors the last.
Yes.
Like Laurie is moving through a suburban maze of perfect square loops that Michael already knows by heart.
And then comes the gendered loop.
Quite right.
Borrowed from earlier horror, where women who express sexuality are punished over and over.
Michael's first victim is his sister, killed moments after sex. Not jealousy, but punishment. The system responding to desire.
And Laurie is marked the same way. The first time we see her, she's humming a love song to herself. And that is when Michael begins to follow her.
Even the smallest act of rebellion gets pulled in. After gossiping about boys, Laurie's friend yells, "Speed kills!" at a passing car Michael happens to be driving. Michael slams the brakes, a literal stop sign for female autonomy.
It's not random cruelty, it's a mechanical pattern.
Exactly.
Step outside the role, and you'll get punished.
And the classroom scene makes it explicit. The teacher lecturing on fate while Laurie looks out the window and sees Michael watching her.
The message is brutal. Fate here is not a path you choose. It's a closed loop you never opted into.
Loops are even brandished as weapons, remember?
That's right.
Laurie, trapped in the closet, bends a wire coat hanger into a crude circle and stabs Michael in the eye.
The everyday twisted to interrupt the system to break the cycle long enough to survive.
And scholars have pointed this out too.
Indeed.
Brian Eggert calling Halloween a minimalist puzzle, Nick Redfern mapping its repeating edits, Rogers and Clover tracing how the violence, voyeurism, and punishment recur so reliably, they form a system.
So the real horror is not just the killer, it's the loop itself. And it's time to talk about Laurie Strode.
Legend.
Because if Halloween is just a story of machine-like pathology, she's the one who manages to jam a stick in the gears.
And let's be clear, she's not just the final girl, she's the final woman.
Wait, hold up. What does that even mean, final woman? People are going to think you're just inventing categories to be spicy.
Spicy and correct, right?
Well,
Final girl is a trope. The last one left alive, the virginal survivor who is rewarded for being pure. But Laurie is more than that. She is a rebuke to that entire setup.
So you're saying she's not just surviving the horror, she's dismantling the cliche at the same time.
Exactly, because look at how Carpenter codes her. Good girl down to the white cotton stockings, but instead of punishing her for it, he makes her awareness the weapon.
Meanwhile, her friends are distracted by boys, booze, and blunt rotation.
Yeah, Laurie is the one noticing the shape by the hedge, the face in the distance, the monster nobody else names.
So she's already halfway to survivor mode before the horror even begins.
And when it does begin, she adapts. She protects kids, she grabs whatever weapon she can, and she refuses to go down easy.
That is the real feminist choice. Not brute strength, but strategy.
Marxist hat on. Laurie is the working class subject, pinned down by forces too big and abstract to fight fairly, yet still finding cracks to push back through.
And Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
Can we talk about how good she is in this?
Oh, we can and we will, because she's luminous, but not in a look-at-me way. She doesn't wield beauty like a weapon. She burns steady, like her own closed loop.
A candle Michael can't blow out.
Which is why she earns her survival.
Quite right.
She does the one thing the system never expects.
Oh?
She refuses to die quietly.
And we'll be right back.
Each flickers with a revolutionary beam. The heroes rise from the factory floor, challenging the scripts and demanding more.
Welcome back. Now, we need to talk about Michael Myers, because if Laurie is the subject trying to resist, Michael is the system bearing down.
You know that mask he wears is actually Captain Kirk.
For real?
Yes, for real.
Wow. Irony much? Jim Kirk, bastion of free speech, apple pie, dramatic monologues, and everything else peachy keen American, is the face of this massacre?
But, Michael, don't you see? You stole a government automobile.
Don't you know that they track those things, Michael?
Michael, don't wear my mask. It'll ruin your hair.
If you like Jamie Lee Curtis, just buy a ticket like the rest of us. And don't forget to read Tech Wars. Definitely, completely written by me, William Shatner.
Okay, enough fun. This is serious. In Carpenter's script, he was not even Michael. He was called the Shape, literally named as an embodiment of something bigger than a man.
Well, he is less person, more machine.
Yep.
A blank, faceless presence with no motive, no desire, just repetition.
And that repetition is the point. Like capitalism, he has no reason, only mindless rhythm.
Look at the pattern. 15 years in an institution, he escapes, comes back to the same town on the same day to do the same thing.
That's not randomness. That is ritualized production. The factory whistle blowing.
Deep.
Halloween arriving like mass layoffs, evictions, and foreclosures on a calendar invite.
And the mask? That smooth plastic mask with dead eyes. That is corporate anonymity.
Exactly. It's the boss who regrets to inform you. The HR email that says, "We value you," right before deleting your job.
You could slap that mask on any CEO, and the meaning does not change.
Michael is not the glitch in the system. He's the system working as intended. Stripped of community or care.
And what's left is velocity, efficiency, and cost. The end-stage product of capital. Tireless, thoughtless, and impossible to stop.
And here's the kicker. The man behind the mask was Nick Castle, Carpenter's friend.
Okay.
A filmmaker himself.
Which makes it even scarier, because Castle was not acting a character. He was embodying a mechanism given flesh.
No motive, no emotion, just a shape drifting through suburbia like a pink slip on legs.
Michael Myers is capitalism gone logical. The system's perfect shape. So if Michael Myers is capitalism's silent compulsion, we also need to talk about the other half of that loop. Dr. Sam Loomis.
Yes, and first of all, the name, straight out of Psycho. When we heard it, we thought we were hallucinating. Like, Really? We're just reusing the character's name now?
For the uninitiated, Sam Loomis was the name of the private eye that tracks the deceased Marion Crane to the Bates Motel.
Yes, and meets their maker in one of the best shots in the film. He's stabbed by Mother and falls down the stairs. Hitchcock stays close up on his face the whole time, even as he receives the knife and begins to tumble. Chilling.
But the name works.
It does.
Because, just like his namesake, Loomis is the institution trying to diagnose its own horror. Michael enacts violence, Loomis intellectualizes it.
They are interlocking gears, one mechanical, the other desperate, but neither capable of stopping what's already in motion.
Loomis is not the cure, he's the rationalization system. Loud, ineffectual, always one step too late.
And he really speaks to the exhausted heart of the 1970s. America burned out on Watergate, Vietnam, and the collapse of post-war prosperity.
Exactly. Institutions were no longer trusted, and Loomis is not a comforting professional. He's a trench-coated liability.
Yelling, "This isn't who we are," well, the shape is literally breaking down the door.
Quite right.
He's the liberal institution in crisis.
And then comes Donald Pleasance, because without him, Loomis is just a shaky man with a murder porn addiction and a god complex.
With Pleasance, he is gothic prophecy in polyester, radiating dread. The man you can't trust, but have to listen to because he's the only one speaking at all.
His cadence, that haunted stare, always chasing a thought he can't catch.
Every scene feels like it could end with either a nervous breakdown or a revelation. And that tension is what makes him unforgettable.
And there's Cold War baggage all over him, because Pleasance had been in espionage films and psychological thrillers for years.
Always the man who knows too much, the scientist with blood on his hands, the intelligence officer breaking under the data. He drags decades of institutional rot straight into Halloween.
Which means Loomis is not the hero. He's the warning label peeling off a crumbling system.
And Halloween does not work without him. Period.
Before we wrap, a reminder that you can support this revolution directly.
Yeah, go to patreon.com/Cinemarchmedia or go to the website www.cinemarchmedia.com. Both live, both revolutionary.
We run two shows, The Marching Revolution and Marxists at the Movies, and Patreon keeps both of them going.
$6 a month gets you early access to articles and news. $10 gets you that, plus early audio and bonus content. And both tiers come with surprise cameos from the true revolutionary of this household, Myron the Cat.
Who has already survived capitalism, multiple cults, and probably more nap cycles than Michael Myers has knife swings.
And unlike Dr. Loomis, Myron actually knows how to break the loop by sitting on the keyboard until the system crashes.
So if you want more sharp critique, more banter, and more feline sabotage, support us there.
Visit today.
Now let's talk about the cultural aftershock.
Yes.
Because Halloween was not just a hit.
Released with almost no marketing, just word of mouth, and in a matter of weeks, it climbed into Variety's top 10, earning more than $19 million domestically.
Critics were caught off guard too.
They were.
Gene Siskel called it a beautifully made thriller, praising Carpenter's control of tension. Others called it moody in the extreme, surprisingly effective for what looked like a shoestring slasher.
And the financials were wild.
Very much.
With a budget of $300,000, it went on to gross somewhere between 60 and 70 million worldwide.
Nobody had ever seen a return like that for low-budget horror. It was lightning in a bottle, or perhaps in this case, a coat hanger in a bottle.
And of course, the imitators came pouring in. Halloween didn't invent the slasher, but it perfected the formula and jump-started a golden age.
Between 1978 and 1984, more than 100 films borrowed its structure, most of them adding more blood and less restraint.
The most famous ripoff was Friday the 13th, which was basically a direct attempt to reverse engineer Halloween's success beat for beat.
Ah, yes, Friday the 13th. The only slasher that was a headline in Variety before it was even a finished script.
Exactly. To quote the 1980 disco musical The Apple, first you sell it, then you make it. That's marketing.
So that movie predicted not only American Idol and Star Search, but also accidentally spelled out everything wrong with Hollywood?
Pretty much.
I thought we were supposed to hate The Apple, but...
Well, just remember the old saying, a broken Golan Globus production is still right twice a day. Need I say more?
You do not. Moving on. Then came The Empire.
Oh, yeah.
The Halloween franchise now spans over a dozen films, endless remakes and reboots, and more than $1 billion in box office receipts.
So, what began as a one-off indie experiment became not just a genre roadmap,
Tell it.
but a cultural monolith.
So here is where we reclaim the scream. Because Halloween turned out to be way more than just a slasher movie for us.
Yeah, we came in cautious, not dyed-in-the-wool Saw or Evil Dead junkies, but analyzing this film has officially made us horror analysis junkies.
It forced us to rethink everything we thought we knew about the genre, because it's layered structurally, politically, and psychologically all at once.
Honestly, it has us curious about diving deeper into horror.
Absolutely.
Because when the genre is on, it is really on.
Right?
Especially when it's as tight and thematic as Halloween.
This was truly one of the most dimensional and unexpectedly profound films we've tackled in a long time.
Indeed.
And it will not be the last horror entry on our list.
Can you think of other horror movies that do more than scratch the surface like Halloween?
Let us know in the comments.
So let's talk about how we score it, because you know where this is heading.
Hammer and sickle rating,
Drum roll.
4.5 out of 5.
Beep, 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 beep.
Because like Psycho before it, Halloween reshaped horror without needing gore to make its point.
Quite right.
Proving that terror can be structural, not just visual.
Its loops, its gendered punishments, its stripped-down storytelling all became a masterclass in subtext. Capitalism, patriarchy, and fate.
And while it may not be explicitly revolutionary, its feminist undertones and razor-sharp craft put it above most of its peers.
Halloween did not just scare audiences. It taught them how to see the shape of fear itself.
Hell yes.
And how it keeps coming back.
What did we learn today?
We learned that if your neighbor is standing behind a hedge in a mask, be a Laurie, not an Annie.
We learned that Donald Pleasance is not a reassuring doctor. He's a prophet in a bad tan suit.
We learned that capitalism and the sequels look a lot like a plastic Captain Kirk mask with dead eyes, boldly going where everyone's been murdered before.
And we learned that pot smoke doesn't linger if you simply open the car window.
Once again, Hollywood lied to us.
Right? Everyone knows it's not the fresh air, it's the Febreze that fools the cops.
But on a serious note, Halloween reminded us that horror isn't just about fear. It's about seeing the patterns, the cycles, and the structures that shape our lives.
Indeed.
When we recognize them, we have a chance to resist, even if only for a breath.
We hope you've enjoyed Halloween from 1978, discovering the Scream Queen within.
If you want to keep these conversations going, support us at patreon.com/cinemarchmedia
or visit www.cinemarchmedia.com.
Both podcasts live there, The Marching Revolution and Marxists at the Movies.
Also, follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. And remember, the biggest, scariest specter of all
is capitalism stalking our neighborhoods in a town car and a Party City mask of a certain Canadian actor.
This has been Marxists at the Movies.
Bye!
Scene opens white lights dim down low.
Thank you for listening to the Marxists at the Movies podcast.
Cinema whispers
Don't forget to
where
like and
truth
comment.
can grow. From shadows deep and screens ignite, the proletariat comes alive tonight. Tonight, Marxists at the movies, bright and raw, breaking through the reels to rewrite the law. Workers of the world in every frame, changing the credits, rewriting the name. Popcorn power and the working class dream. Each flickers with a revolutionary beam. The heroes rise from the factory floor, challenging the scripts and demanding more. Behind the velvet curtains lies the fight. Directors of destiny taking the light. The dialogue chimes with justice in stride. The proletariat walks where stars collide. Marxists at the movies, bright and raw, breaking through the reels to rewrite the law. Workers of the world in every frame, changing the credits, rewriting the name. Blockbusters topple in an epic
Copyright 2025, Cinemarch Media.